And so today's key is understand ego. And it's the id, superego, and ego. So what is this ego? Here's a more complete idea, and this is from, like I said, Sigmund Freud. He's a psychoanalyst and kind of the founder of psychology almost in a way. But Sigmund Freud's idea of ego is there's three parts. So you have the id. What is the id? The id is your just primitive, instinctual aspects of your personality. So it's your impulses, basically. It's like the animal instinct inside you. The id wants what it wants, and it wants it now. It's hungry. It wants pleasure. It wants sex. It wants instant gratification. It's hungry. It's thirsty. It's this primitive part of your aspect. We are animals. So, and the id is driven by the pleasure principle. So it just wants that pleasure, son. Give it to me now. No questions asked. That's the id. And then you have the superego. That superego is very different from the id. The superego is judgmental. It's concerned with morality. So it's kind of based on this moral principle. It's driven by a moral principle of right and wrong. So your superego is kind of like your own little internal God. It can make you feel shame. It can make you feel guilt. It can make you feel judged. You shouldn't do that. You should do this. Why aren't you perfect? You could be better. Your superego is kind of this moral aspect of your consciousness that kind of is always letting you know right from wrong. And it's this, it's kind of subtle. I'm assuming for some people, these aspects are more dramatic in some people as opposed to others, but your superego, it's that judgmental, moral principle that lives inside you. Okay? And then the ego, just the bare ego, is kind of your rational, logical, most true version of yourself in a way. It's based on the reality principle, so it's dealing with actual reality, and it's kind of mediating between the id and mediating between the superego. It's this in between where your ego's kind of like, what is the best decision here? And it's, like I said, rational and logical, so it's kind of incorporating social norms. It's taking into account more kind of contextual aspects, and it's trying to kind of find the best in between. And the ego is really, it's you. It's your part that operates and makes decisions, and your ego develops more as you mature. So that's the three parts: the id, the superego, and the ego. So let's use an example, because all three of these embody all of us. But what's an example? Okay. Let's say you're out at a party and someone is rolling up a joint, and they look over at you and say, hey, do you want to hit this? So your id, your instinctual aspect would say, oh yeah, buddy, let's rip this and get, whatever. Your id's that impulsive, let's have fun. Yes, let's do it. That's going to be your id. Your superego, your moral part of your ego, is going to be saying, this might be really irresponsible. This might paint us in a bad light. I don't know if this is the right decision here. This seems kind of unethical to be smoking drugs. And then your ego, the kind of in-between mediator rational part, might say, well, do I have work tomorrow? Do I feel safe in this context, in this party? Do I like the person offering me the joint? So your ego's kind of rationalizing. It's trying to find the in-between of, yes, we want to do this. No, we shouldn't do this. What is the best decision here and now? That's kind of the ego's purpose. So that's kind of how they play out. And so the takeaway from this, the key I want you to run away with, that's a funny way to put it. The key I want you to take away from this podcast is to become aware of this and to notice these three elements of your personality: the id, superego, and ego. Notice your impulses. Notice that you have a primitive, instinctual aspect about you, and that's part of being a human. That's something we all share. It's not a bad thing that you have impulses. That's quite normal. Challenge the voice in your head that's judging you all the time. Be aware that there is a part of your personality that is morally judging you, and that has utility. It's useful to have that, but at the same time, challenge it. Don't be overly perfectionist. Don't be overly self-critical. Don't be overly judgmental about every little thing in your doctrine, because that's not gonna work out well for you long term. And then strengthen the decision-making aspect of your personality, which is your ego. Strengthen that, and all that kind of comes together so that you can become more self-aware and more balanced as an individual. So there's your key for today. Take that key and run with it. All right. On the shelf today, let's see what we're doing here. Here we go. Ba-bang. Play some country music right there because that guy. What is this? This is an iced tea crafted by Morgan Wallen. And I do like some of the Morgan Wallen songs. What is this? So I got this at the Walmart marketplace. So not the actual Walmart. I go to the Walmart that's just a grocery store or grocery store focused. And I got this Southern Sweet iced tea with benefits. There are benefits to this iced tea here. It's an antioxidant, it's a super blend, and an excellent source of vitamin C. You gotta get your vitamin C. And it's from I can't even pronounce that. How would y'all pronounce that? The Ryle Co. tea. It doesn't really roll off the tongue, the whole title of this drink, but it's whatever. It's sweet tea, it seems. So here's a little bit more about it. It's got 5 calories. Okay, pretty good on the calorie count. And there's 0 net carbs. So if you're watching your carbs, you're good there. And it's got about 15 milligrams of naturally occurring caffeine. So really not enough to even get you to feel it, but that's fine. So this is the real deal. Oh, okay. So this is how you pronounce it. It's called the Real. Spelled very trickily, RYL. But on the side of the can, it says the real deal. This is the future of iced tea, son, where delicious iced tea flavor and healthy steeped tea benefits can be enjoyed at the same time, okay? And then say hello to our neighbor. Whoa. Cut, run it back. Say hello to our antioxidant super blend, an excellent source of vitamin C and delivers tea polyphenols. I have to look that one up after the podcast. I don't even know what that means. And then meet Morgan Wallen Southern Sweet Iced Tea. Tastes like Tennessee in a can. All right, Morgan. Let's see what you're putting in this tea, buddy. And I do like some of the songs that you make. And this was interesting to find in a Walmart marketplace grocery store in Colorado. But all right, let's take it home here, because this is going to taste like Tennessee. And I'm kind of from that area in a way. So here we go. Into the mason jar with some ice. It is iced tea after all. So we got mason jar with ice. Yeah, we are doing it. Here we go. Wow. That's actually really good. All right, the real deal. Morgan Wallen, wasn't kidding. I wish I knew more Morgan Wallen references because I can't think of any right now. I just keep thinking of that song. That was 7 summers ago. Let's tap into the rule for today. What is our rule today? Make friends with people who want the best for you. Make friends with people who want the best for you. And that is a rule from Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. Love that book. Love that guy. Love his brain. And make friends with people who want the best for you. That's a good rule. That is a good rule. I think when you grow up in high school, you kind of are just friends with people who are in close proximity to you. You know, you might be friends with people in the same neighborhood. You might be friends with people who live nearby. You're probably friends with people who are on the same sports team as you, same classes. You kind of become friends with just who's ever nearby you. And that's maybe even a truth outside of high school, the more I think about it. So people will really pick their friends just based on proximity, I feel like. But, you know, you want to find friends who want you to do better in life. You want to find friends who care about you, that want is what is ultimately best for you. And that's not always the case. You know, there's going to be friends in your life where you have fun together, you're friends, you like being around them, but they may be bringing you down in ways that, you know, are not good for you. They could be bad influences. They could make fun of you when you try to do better. You know, maybe you say, hey, today I'm not engaging in this activity. You know, today I'm not doing whatever it may be. Maybe that day you're not drinking. Maybe that day you're not hitting a vape. You know, if you have a good friend and you say, hey, today, just so you know, I'm not vaping today because I'm trying to quit and better my life. If it's a good friend, they'll say, I think you're making the right choice, man. I support you, and I'll do what I can not to tempt you, you know. And they can facilitate your betterment. Your friends can. Now, a crappy friend, if you say, hey, John, I don't know why I'm saying John. Hey, John, today I'm not hitting the vape. And if John's a crappy friend, he might say, he might pull out his own vape and rip it and blow it in your face. Be like, good luck, buddy. You know, there might be a friend like that in your life. So make friends with people who want what is best for you. That is a good rule. And the kind of other side of this is be a good friend. Be a good friend to your friends. Call your friends higher. You know, it's actually pretty easy to look at someone else's life and be able to kind of spot where they could improve because you're an objective outsider viewing their doctrine, viewing their life, their decisions, their habits, their behaviors. So as a friend, it's actually you're in a great place to actually spot room for improvement in other people's lives. So just realize that. Think about that. You know, whoever friends you have in your life, think about what would be the best thing for them. You know, what would be the best thing for them? Do they need to kind of clean up their act? Do they need to, you know, be more reliable? Do they need to take better care of their health? Do they need some motivation and love and encouragement? Do they need that? And if they do, and you can provide it, do it. Do it. All right. Real quick sidebar, if you guys are watching the video and you're liking it and getting something out of it, please go down right now and drop a like and leave a comment. It takes 2 seconds to leave a like, and it actually really helps small creators like myself get seen by more people through YouTube. I do my best to read every single comment that you guys leave, and I do what I can to respond to all of them as well. Now, back to the keys. Okay. Let's tap into today's quote. I do like a good quote. Here's the quote for today. It says, "No one in my life has deceived me as much as I have." That is a cold quote right there. No one in my life has deceived me as much as I have. Gosh, that's got some weight on it. And this is from OG Mandino. Some call him Og Mandino. Some call him OG. And this is from his book, The Greatest Salesman in the World, Part 2, which was written in 1988. Great. So no one in my life has deceived me as much as I have. Wow, what does that make me think of? Well, people are deceptive, even to ourselves. Carl Jung, he's a pretty famous, kind of the godfather of psychoanalysis. Carl Jung, incredibly intelligent person, incredibly intelligent thinker on this guy. And he talked about the unconscious. So he said that every person has an unconscious element of their being, and it's unconscious to us. So as I'm sitting here recording this podcast, I'm conscious that I'm doing the podcast. I'm conscious that I'm being recorded. I'm conscious that the microphone's picking up my audio. I'm conscious of the lights, but I'm unconscious of my stomach digesting the iced tea I drink. I'm unconscious of kind of my body doing different processes. I'm unconscious of certain movements that I make. I'm unconscious of kind of the way my eyes move. I'm unconscious of, there might just be like a little seed in the back of my mind of like thinking about the dream I had last night, or thinking about what I'm going to do after I finish the podcast, So we all have this unconscious element, this hidden, shadowy part of our being that's unconscious to us. No matter how hard we try, there's something we're unconscious of. And because we're unconscious of it, we don't know what it is. So it's kind of a little loop you can get stuck on if you think about it too hard. But so we can deceive ourselves, We can talk ourselves into making choices that are not good for us in the long haul. Kind of going back to the ego, our id, our id can trick us. Our impulses, our temptations can talk us into doing something that we know is bad for us. It can talk us into engaging in some short-sighted, fleeting pleasure that as soon as we get that pleasure, we're going, dang, I feel bad. I don't feel good now that I gave into whatever that pleasure was. You might have just, you might be finishing your, third Big Mac at McDonald's parking lot and kind of crunching up the paper and being like, dang, I did not need to eat those 3 Big Macs. It can be whatever. So that quote, it just makes me think, I am my biggest deceiver in life, And so that just causes me to kind of want to be a little bit more tapped into my essence as a consciousness, as a human, and think, I'd really rather be more conscious than unconscious. And I really would rather be aware of my id and my superego so that my ego can be the most balanced, so I can be the most balanced force of humanism in this world, I guess. All right, having fun. Hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. Thank you for being here. Great. Let's finish it out with our format. As you guys know, we finish with a question, a thought-provoking, fun, silly question sometimes. Here it is. If you could create a new holiday that everyone in the world had to celebrate, what would it be called and how would people celebrate it? A new holiday. Ooh. This is so dumb, but Happy Day. Happy Day. What is Happy Day? Happy Day is where everyone has to be in a good mood. They have to be happy, and they have to be smiling the whole day. That would be a good holiday to me. Golly, think about that. You pull up to a red light, you look over, and Cheryl's giddy as can be. She's geeked up in her RAV4 on her way to church, whatever. Happy Day. You go to the gas station, you walk in the gas station, and the clerk at the gas station's actually in a good mood. That would be shocking. The clerk at the gas station's actually in a good mood. Who would have ever thought that could happen? Just smiling. People, smiles are contagious. Smiles are contagious. And you can almost trick yourself to being in a good mood. I did record a podcast a long time ago about tricking yourself into being in a good mood. If you just smile, not a cheesy smile, but just like a kind of a get your face muscles involved, you can trick yourself into being happy. So if I had to make a new holiday that the whole world had to celebrate, it would be Happy Day. And if you cannot be sad on Happy Day, if you got a frown, turn that thing upside down because it's Happy Day, son. Take a sip of this iced tea and enjoy this life. It's so dumb. Ooh-wee, wow. Well, that's the podcast. Thank you guys for tapping in. As always, I appreciate you coming here, tapping in. Like and subscribe, might as well while you're here. And I'll catch you guys on the next key.